right? Escape from Tarkov. Now, that's a game I did used to play. Me and some friends had a lot of fun with that game, and it was really interesting. It pretty much followed the arc of all video games in the sense that it was really fun to begin with, and then the sweaties came, and okay, right, I suppose it is a competitive game. Maybe I should be sweaty. I don't know. Then once the sweaties came and started being sweaty, the cheaters came because they couldn't handle the sweats. And so then, for whatever reason, in Tarkov, cheats were just everywhere. It just became absolutely insufferable. I mean, this is why I've always played down how I feel about CS2. Because while I agree, yes, there are cheats in CS2. Yes, it's a problem. Yes, if you play at 20k Premier or above, up until the recent fixes, it was pretty bad. I'm not going to dispute any of that. But I have played in games where you simply cannot avoid cheaters. And Tarkov is one of them, and PUBG is the other one. And you can go and look it up for yourself. Blue balls, or whatever they're called. I know that was Daisy. The PUBG guys, they make an announcement every week that they've banned 90,000, sometimes more, cheating accounts. That's every week, and it's there, and you can go look at it on Steam. Because of how the game works, where it's like, you know, a bunch of you all being dropped in, and you have these big arenas and lots of players, it only takes one cheater to fuck up the whole game, and statistically, you are going to get one. That is a game infested with cheaters. Yes, there is a guy, he's half in, half out the ground, speed hacking, banging my head off with a shotgun from the other side of a hill. Like, okay, I'm going to quit. It's not really worth my time. So that's fine, Those are the games that I have issues with. But Tarkov also has another issue in the sense that it is a ludicrously expensive game commensurate to its experience. And they got a pass for this, but when AAA studios do the pricing models that the Tarkov devs do, everyone loses their shit. Because if you go and look at the original, which we will take a look at in a moment, if you go and look at the original pricing models for buying Tarkov, there was, and remember, it's an extraction shooter. So the genre, by definition, if it gives you extra stuff, it is giving you an advantage. Not an in-game advantage in terms of skill, but an in-game advantage in terms of stakes. Because the point of an extraction shooter is if you die, you lose all the shit you took in. And so if you have more shit to lose, the stakes aren't as high. You're not hit as hard. You're not penalized. You don't have to go through that grind where you just have to hope you can fucking loot a gun or whatever the fuck it is and get out super quick and get to the extraction zone. That's, kind of baked in. That it's not pay to win, but it's certainly close to it. And because the game was sort of so compelling and the devs were active on Reddit and stuff, people really gave them a fucking pass on this one. And I never understood it. But then they just went beyond anything I think I've ever seen. Like, put it this way, for context, I think like EA or, like a developer like that would almost be ashamed of what Tarkov did. The headline on PC Gamer, Escape from Tarkov Player's Rage, is developers lock co-op PvE, player versus environment, in case you don't know the term, behind a new $250 edition, then say they'll offer previous buyers access for just 6 months. So this is updated, so we're not going to do the update. We're going to get into the main. So I want you to just think about that. Right? Just think about that as a concept. We are releasing a version of the game that has a mode in it nobody else will get to play, and it's $250. Like I say, there's an EA executive going, holy shit, why didn't we think of that? We're just gouging you with fucking Ultimate Team every year. Like, it is probably one of the most insane price points for a video game I think I've ever seen. And what you have to remember as well is there has been this thing in the AAA industry where AAA games devs are now telling you, bold as brass, they're telling you, $70, just, $60, $70, it just isn't enough for a AAA experience anymore. We can't make that work. And you go, really? You can't sell me a video game for $70 a pop and make a profit on that and give me a good experience. Absolute bullshit. Grade A balonium, weapons grade balonium, just fucking nonsense what they are saying. And the reason that they're doing that is because of the old fiduciary duty bullshit. What they mean is we need to make as much money as possible for shareholders, stakeholders, investors, and therefore we have to gouge you for every penny we feasibly can. And so if we feed you this line of bullshit that a AAA experience isn't possible anymore at $70 price points, and we need the whales that pre-order for $100, $150 for certain versions of the game, people in the industry will start accepting it. And you shouldn't accept it because it is a barefaced lie. You only have to go look at when they announce their profits. It's always record revenues and record profits and record layoffs. And yet they can never pass on the savings to you. Isn't that weird how that works? So anyway, Battlestate Games unveiled a new $250 edition of Escape from Tarkov that includes access to a PvE mode with co-op support and persistent progress that won't be reset when the game is wiped. It sounds pretty cool, but it has a few players upset because the mode is only accessible with the new, very expensive edition of the game. I have never heard of such a basic feature like PvE being locked behind a paywall like that. I don't think I've ever seen the equivalent of that in a video game ever. If anyone has, let me know. I'd love to know if anyone else has tried this bullshit. But I just can't even imagine that. I've just never seen anything like that. You're saying Overwatch 2. I suppose technically, Overwatch 2 did create a PvE experience that was in the new game, and they did end up selling it as DLC, but it was like $16. So it is, yeah, it's kind of the same, but not. But okay, Overwatch 2. I should have remembered that one. I just put Overwatch out my brain, honestly. It's the league's dead. I was right. I won that one. If Activision Blizzard are doing it, it's probably some greedy, predatory shit. Anyway, even though the previously released $150 Edge of Darkness edition of Tarkov, which is no longer available, promised free access to all subsequent DLCs. They said it was like the season pass model. In fact, before we come back to this, I just want to show you that that is indeed how it was marketed. If you go on to a web archive on the Battlestate Games website, on the official Escape from Tarkov website, you can see here, these are all the versions of the game, right, that they marketed, right? So, again, AAA studios used to get hammered for this shit. Standard, $50, right? Then the Left Behind edition, where you get all of the things you get up here, but with an additional equipment and resources in the stash and a bigger size of stash. So again, you're paying for in-game advantages, essentially. $82, right? And remember, this is like when the game was beta, essentially. Then this was the Prepare for Escape edition, where you got that, the additional equipment, and you were in good standing with all in-game traders, which means you get favorable prices and access to items and stuff like that. $110 for that, right? Then you have the Edge of Darkness limited edition. And this is the edition we're talking about. All of that, plus a unique in-game ID, and there it is, in black and white. Free access to all subsequent DLCs, like a season pass. $150 fucking dollars for not ostensibly, for the same game. Great stuff, right? So, back to the shit show of the $250 edition. Oh, yeah, and Jace, who does play this game, or did, my beloved head mod, he points out, in addition to that, tax and, depending on how you choose to pay, there might be additional fees. on all of that. Okay? So, Battlestate Games claimed the new mode doesn't qualify as DLC, an argument that went over with Tarkov players about as well as you'd expect. The addition of a PvE mode with no wipes is a pretty big deal, As it stands, Tarkov is a PvP-only game with server wipes that occur every several months, completely resetting player progress. Being able to explore its very Chernobyl-like setting with friends without having to worry about getting popped by other players, cheaters, is obviously appealing, especially for those of us who aren't quite as handy in a fight against other humans as we used to be. The problem with the new mode appears to be twofold. One, the Unheard Edition's whopping $250 price, and two, Battlestate has declared the PvE mode is not DLC, but a feature, and thus the people who sprung for the Edge of Darkness edition, which seemed pretty damn future-proof at $150, don't get access to it. Owners of the Edge of Darkness edition can upgrade to the Unheard Edition, but that costs $100. They didn't even give you a discount on the upgrade. No, that's just straight $100. You've already supported us, already bought our game, already paid $150. Could you give us the upgrade at $80? Nah, absolutely not. That message was delivered by Applezor, the lead community manager for Escape from Tarkov. Now, by the way, recurring theme of this stream is going to be wild community managers, right? Sometimes good, sometimes bad. And I've said this a million times. There is no more wretched or servile job that you can do at a games development company as community manager. They're just Reddit mods, basically, but infused with the arrogance of games developers. Now, sometimes that can break good, very rarely, but generally it breaks bad. And so we'll get to this. This is, remember, just a community manager, doesn't have to go and fight the battles. He said on the official Discord, it ain't DLC, it's a unique feature of the new edition added. DLC means additional downloadable content. PvE is a feature and game mode that you're rolling out in a DLC. But okay, just because you all want it to become a DLC, it wouldn't mean it is one. It's a featured game mode for the new edition of the game. That messaging has riled up the Tarkov community in a very big way. And yes, it certainly has. You can see here, anger over the new edition is also being fueled by a general upset with the state of the game overall, including widespread complaints about the prevalence of cheaters and the perceived slow progress towards full release. Now, listen, far be it from me to suggest there was a conversation around a table at Battlestate Games, but if I was placing bets on it, I would bet that this actually happened. If you can't combat cheaters, right, and they're just going to be a reality of your game experience, what if there was a way to eliminate cheaters from ruining your human experience, like a PvE mode, and everything you win in that mode, and any mode, you just get to keep. We will never wipe your progress. Wouldn't that make some of the belly aching about cheating go away? And ultimately, wouldn't it drive people who were sick to death of cheaters in Tarkov towards paying the $250? There are a lot of allegations thrown out against Valve, for example. They'll never ban cheaters because cheaters make them money, even though cheaters definitely don't make them money. But in this instance, you can see how a fervent desire to get away from the cheaters might drive you to a PvE mode, and then you charge that at a huge fucking premium. Very interesting. Very cool. It's like, put it this way, I always strongly suspected Riot Games looked at the data and realized that when you ban somebody, they just make another account. And then eventually, on a long enough timescale, problem players that get banned repeatedly over and over and over again will buy skins on their secondary account. And so you get to double dip in your business. I've always suspected Riot knew that. And Riot were definitely playing on that a little bit, because some of the 7-day bans that used to get handed out back in the day when I used to play League, they were just total bullshit. You would type, lol, you lost 7 days. All right, nice one. GG easy, 7 days. Anyway, some players are also unhappy about the presence of perceived pay-to-win elements in the new edition of Tarkov, including an enhanced stash size, an expanded pocket space, a unique melee weapon, and increased starting character levels. Several hours after the new Unheard edition was announced, the Escape from Tarkov Twitter account confirmed that access to the new PvE mode will only be available to players who own the new High Roller edition. This did not smooth the waters, and you can see there Dr. Lupo's in. You don't even need to meme on this one. one. That's crazy. Ammunition. When I purchased EOD, it said free access to all subsequent downloadable content. It's part of the reason I bought it, so I wouldn't have to pay more in the future. This is just a bait and switch, and you're trying to hide behind sneaky language. I hope no one buys this. So you can see as well, the Tarkov Discord server has been in open revolt since the announcement, with all the attempts at normal conversation being drowned out by players repeatedly spamming the same message over and over, accusing developers of blowing off long-term supporters and being disrespectful to the community in pursuit of profit. You're right, by the way, guys. They are absolutely 100% doing that. Anyway, surely after that reaction, the one thing you wouldn't do is double down. That would literally be insane. You would go, okay, we've got to find a way to make this right. Maybe we can style this out. We can reframe it. Maybe we can offer a discount. People upgrade him, lower the price overall. Promise PvE will come eventually to everyone. There's got to be something. No. I'll tell you what, why don't we just double down? And this is from Rock, Paper, Shotgun. Escape from Tarkov Studio. Head doubles down on belief the new mode is not DLC, but says players can have it once the game is done. You can see here, Battlestate said that the mode isn't included for those that bought Edge of Darkness because it's not actually DLC. They said officially, first of all, the PvE game mode, this is not DLC. DLC, in our understanding, is the major additions to the game, including various functionality. A PvE mode is functionality, but okay. And content that are released after the official release of the game. There's a themed DLC pack, like Scav Life DLC, for example, which will add a lot of new mechanics and content for Scav gameplay and leveling. Secondly, he goes on to explain, their servers could not currently support all the Edge of Darkness owners having access to the new PvE mode. You know what we call that in my world? A fucking you problem. That's a you problem, not a me problem. I bought something. You told me I could have something. You not accounting for how many people buy that thing. That is a you problem. And it's contingent on you to solve that problem. I'm a consumer. I've paid for something. You are going to fucking give it to me. And if you can't, through your own failures or lack of accounting for your own success, that is on you. You fix it. You don't tell me, listen guys, we just can't do it because we're suffering from success right now. You all gave us too much money. How could we have possibly foreseen that? Do you want to use some of that money so I can have the thing that you said I could have? No? Oh, okay, my bad. The way they put it was, we observe your dissatisfaction and have decided that the functionality of the PvE mode will be available for free to all owners of the EOD version at the release of the game, when the server infrastructure will be improved to the required capacity. Now, you have the opportunity to test this mode by purchasing the Unheard edition of the game or upgrade to this version. They are literally, okay, his words, he is charging you $250 or $100 to quality test their fucking new rollout of a new mode. They're charging you to do it for them. Again, this is like a staggering level of greed. And the messaging is so insane around that. Like, surely, as you're typing that, you go, oh, wait, fuck, hang on. That's mental what I've just said. But no. We also decided to give a 50% discount when upgrading to the Unheard version from the EOD version. So in other words, you don't get it because it's not DLC. Also, we couldn't give it to you right now anyway because our servers wouldn't cope. But also, since you're mad, you can get it for free when the game is finished, whenever that is. Also, we've introduced some new discounts if you do want to get access to it now. So, staggeringly bad messaging. Just a diabolical response. Anyway, the mockery, the abuse, the derision, the discord, the threats of boycott, players stopping playing, influencers, streamers saying they were no longer going to play, that this was the final straw, the negative press, the game's journalists. It's weird, isn't it? The smaller developers, you don't mind. You'll batter them. But, Riot, Activision Blizzard, nah, that's crickets. All right, my bad. Anyway, back to PC Gamer. Escape from Tarkov dev finally caves. says people who paid $150 for the game will get access to the new mode in waves, right? So, after 2 attempts to mollify fan outrage over a new $250 version of Escape from Tarkov, developer Battlestate has finally relented, promising the PvE access to players who previously bought the $150 Edge of Darkness tomorrow. Edging in Darkness mode. Gooning in Darkness edition that promised access to all future DLC. In a statement on the Tarkov subreddit early this morning, Battlestate COO Nikita Buyanov said he was very sorry that fans and the game community in general are experiencing these feelings. That's one of those passive-aggressive apologies, isn't it? I'm sorry that what I said made you feel bad. I'm sorry you feel this way. It's a fucking hood classic non-apology. You know, shit, man. I remember back in the day when I used to be like an office manager, old Richie 100 jobs. You know, I've told you before, I used to run a fucking department. And they used to, that was considered in the noughties, that was considered like high art. The passive-aggressive non-apology. If you ever have to interact with a disgruntled consumer or a staff member, you can frame it this way and say, if they demand an apology, you say, I'm sorry you feel this way. It's like everyone's just savvy to that being absolute garbage now, of course, right? Anyway, and that this negative response would factor into his future decision-making. In terms of the company's response, Buyanov offered the following concessions and assurances. $150 Edge of Darkness purchasers would get access to the PvE mode with no further payment or time limit during early access. They will still be allowed access in waves due to server capacity concerns. So you're getting it, but you're not getting it all the time because they fucked up and their servers are garbage. But you might get to try it. And by the way, I've been told by a bunch of people it's fucking cheeks. That it's just broken and trash right now. The PvE mode will get mod support on Tarkov's official 1.0 release, still in beta, remember. Battlestate will continue to sell the $250 Unheard Edition and upgrades to it from other packages. Well, listen, if consumers are going to pay it, I mean, my advice to you, just never pay that. Never pay that for anything. Fuck that. I'll give you an example. Leonard Cohen is dead now, of course. He did something called the Farewell Tour when he was like in his 70s or something. It was literally going to be, I'm dying, I'm going to get some money, so, you know, you can see me one last time. And I like Leonard Cohen, right? I do. I like him. You know, it's not all about Hallelujah. Great back catalogue. He came to Birmingham on the Farewell Tour, or close to Birmingham. Might have been Coventry. Don't know what the fuck he was doing. But anyway, he came nearby. But the ticket was £90. Back then, £90 was a lot of money to young Rich. And I couldn't justify it. And I thought to myself, he'll be dead after this. I'll never get to see him again. It's the one opportunity. But he can fuck off for £90. Love you, Leonard, but you can fuck right off. And sometimes you just have to say that. That's what I'm saying. And certainly to Battlestate game, love your Battlestate, but for $250, fuck off. Actually, fuck off. Sometimes you just have to say that in life. Like, just, you know. Listen, I'll tell you another example. Steven Seagal's reggae band played in Birmingham City Centre in a boozer that I drink in sometimes. And if you paid £250, not only did you get into the gig, you got to meet Steven Seagal. And it was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. But it was £250. And you know what I said to Steven Seagal? I said, Steven Seagal, you did write that song, Me Want the Panani, where you sing it with a suspiciously Jamaican accent that probably would have got you cancelled if you weren't already a mess. But Steven Seagal, you can fuck off, Steven. For 250 quid, you can fuck off, Steven Seagal. And now he's in Russia. Anyway, the point being, sometimes you just have to say fuck off. At that price, fuck off. You know. Battlestate will iron out a new list of additional benefits for $150 EOD players while removing the controversial preferred matchmaking proposal, and we will continue to work on patches, new content, events, and the game release itself, no matter what. Oh, you mean the bare fucking minimum a game dev should do? Yeah. Nice one. Most posts on the Tarkov subreddit right now are expressing dissatisfaction with Buyanov's statement, with some wondering if Battlestate will pull a move like this in the future. Many are suggesting Battlestate turn to cosmetic monetization instead of ever more stratified bundles of the game with mechanical advantages and exclusive modes. And yeah, listen, say what you will about skins. As you know, I've had my issues with skins, mainly in CS. I don't really dislike them in other games, you know, because in CS they're tied to a bunch of bad things where, again, consumers get gouged, but less so in spaces like Valorant and Dota, etc. But anyway, I would rather you were selling cosmetics than selling more space, ability to hold more inventory. It's an extraction shooter. It's like... It's inherent to the fucking genre. Now, the funny part. Escape from Tarkov studio boss says he did not foresee players would get mad about charging extra for PvE. Are you educationally subnormal or something? Like, what the fuck are you talking about? I just can't even process it. Like, do you not know how this world works? Like, people want things, and they want those things purchasable at a reasonable price. And that's the whole dance. That's the consumerist waltz right there, right? That's what we're all doing. Now, for most people, particularly those that had already paid $150, there's a reasonable expectation that your new game... I'm going to get that. Of course I'm going to get that. You explicitly told me I would get everything you released. The idea that you can't foresee that again, you just sat round a table, said, look, let's do an unprecedented $250. Like, yeah, exactly, first-time chatter icon fixer. It's just $250. Why are you mad? Yeah, do you not all have phones? Yeah, remember that? These people fucking hate you. These people hate you. They don't make games for people who, like, work normal jobs, shit factory jobs, you know, shit retail jobs, and you just want to come home and unwind. The reality is that's, like, probably, like, I don't know, I'll pull a number out my arse. 95% of gamers are just regular folk working regular shit jobs, and this is their gateway to escapism. And you're going to gouge me for that when I've already let you gouge me. It's actually ridiculous. What's the matter? Don't you all have phones? Just get a second job, lol. It's mad. But anyway, yeah, they didn't foresee it. Unfortunately, I somehow did not foresee the fact of such a reaction. And now I have drawn conclusions for my future decisions. For your time, love, and hate, and I thank you. Oh, and thank you for your increased attention to the current situation. He's fucking spewing. He's spewing. He's fuming that you've called him out. He's fuming that he's had to fucking take the L and walk it back. He's fucking irate. He's boiling. Thanks for your love and hate. I didn't foresee. I thought I could just rip you all off and you'd be all right with it. I didn't know anyone would have archived the previous promises we made. My bad. Now, I will add at the end of the Battlestate games breakdown and what went on in Tarkov, I will just simply add this, and that is that it is now up to that community, and you might be watching this on YouTube as part of that community and stumbled across this because it's been recommended to you or something. I will just say, I don't think they've done enough. I don't think they've done enough to earn your goodwill back. That's my opinion. I think the passive-aggressive apology, the fact they even pulled this shit to begin with, the fact that the people who got promised something are getting it, but not all of the time, I don't think this is good enough. I really don't. And I already know enough about the game, Tarkov itself, and the state it is in, with the cheating problem and server lag and other issues in general that streamers complain about. I don't know if they've done enough to earn your goodwill. That's like up to you. Your community, your game. But For me, I don't know. It's if you let a $250 edition slide, it's a matter of time before it's a $300 edition. Next time they've got some new tech they want to try, and then it's a $400 and a $500, and then they're selling $1,000 special super duper editions, never get wiped, special one hit, one kill guns, like like that can't miss homing missiles. It's a rocky fucking road, and you've got to be very. You got to be very careful about co-signing this, because Battlestate Games, they are not a AAA developer, but they are behaving as shittily as one, and it's good to see the community put their foot down and get a W, but you might want to think about whether or not the war is over in this case.